Hey YouTube, this is Primetime Pokemon. In this video, I'll be reviewing and then giving away the Storm Rider Roaring Skies theme deck. This theme deck is based around Zapdos, and it is a lightning and grass type deck. It is the first Roaring Skies deck that I've reviewed on YouTube. Next month, I'll be reviewing the Aurora Blast deck. So the first part of this video, I'll be reviewing the deck, and then the second part of the video I'll be laying out the rules to entry. And if you're looking for other deck reviews on YouTube, I have a playlist with all of them that I've done, and I've reviewed every single deck that has been released within probably the last 5 or 6 years on YouTube. Okay, so I'll give you a close-up here of the Storm Rider deck, and decks are $11.99 in stores. And the winner of this deck will receive everything that's on the inside. But if you're just a beginner, the best thing that I would recommend is just looking at the back of the deck box to see what exact cards are in there. If you're a beginner, just play with the theme deck right away, like this Storm Rider deck, and then change one by one a card out here and there to improve the deck overall. But here's a list of everything that's on the inside, the cards, and here's a list of the actual items. And I'll go through each one of those when I open up the box, but I'll read the summary of the deck first. It says, the Storm Rider theme deck goes boom in more ways than one. Strike from above with bolts of lightning while keeping your opponent off balance with some twisty grass-type tricks. Zapdos can bring the Raging Thunder while Dragonite makes a heavy impact and picks up extra prize cards with its ancient trait. To really crank up the noise, call on Shedinja for a hopeless scream that can make your opponent howl in despair as you sound your victory cry. And then, like I said, inside the box you'll get the 60 card deck, a checklist, metallic coin, playmat and rule sheet, code card to unlock the deck for the online TCG, a deck box, and damage counters. So I'll open it up here. Actually go like so. Okay, so everything that's on the inside. Okay, so first off here is the code card for the deck. Here is the special holofoil Zapdos card. There's 2 Zapdos in this deck. This one is a holofoil, the other one is not. Here is a coin. I believe that's Mega Rayquaza. Gold colored. Here is the deck box with the 59 cards inside. Zapdos on the artwork there. Here is the rule sheet and playmat. Damage counters, burn marker, poison marker. And then here is the checklist. So now I'll go through all the 60 cards. I'll go through them and give some strategy. And I do review cards on my blog every single day. They're more geared towards beginners, so if you're just starting the TCG. So the first card in this deck is Zapdos, and there are 2 of them, like I mentioned. There's a non-holo and then the special holofoil pattern. Zapdos is a basic Pokemon, HP of 120, 2 moves. Drill Peck does 20 damage and Raging Thunder does 120 damage for only 3 energy cards. Plus this attack does 40 damage to one of your bench Pokemon. So what I would recommend is that if you're using Raging Thunder, that you either do not have any bench Pokemon, which is pretty risky if Zapdos does get knocked out, or make sure to have a way to heal damage from your Pokemon, if that would be trainer cards like potions, or another Pokemon card that has maybe an ability that will heal damage off of a card. So this one, Raging Thunder, I'm a big fan of, especially if you're just trying to quickly knock out one of your defending Pokemon, but it does do quite a bit of damage on your own Pokemon. So next up here, there's a 2-2 line of Voltorb and Electrode. Voltorb, 60 HP for basic, so a good HP. 2 moves on this one. Thunder Wave says to flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. And then Big Explosion basically knocks out Voltorb, and it does 60 damage to the defending Pokemon. Not a big fan of Voltorb here, but it may lead into a better Electrode. We'll take a look now. Like I said, a 2-2 line of Electrode, Voltorb and Electrode. Another average HP, Stage 1 card here, 90 HP. 2 moves, Continuous Tumble does 20 damage times the number of heads you get when you flip a coin until you get a tail. So it could do 0 damage, it could do, let's say, even 100 damage. Not usually a big fan of coin flip based moves. And then Energy Bomb does 70 damage for 3 energy cards. And it says you may move all energy from this Pokemon to your bench Pokemon in any way that you like. So this actually is a pretty good move. It does above average damage, and if you're going to be knocked out the next turn, let's say, or you want to retreat Electrode, you could maybe move 2 energy cards from Electrode to your bench Pokemon and then retreat it during the next turn. Keyword is may, doesn't mean that you have to. So 2 of those. And then there's Pikachu in this deck. 2 Pikachus, not any Raichu. You could always add a Raichu to improve this deck, but another good HP Pokemon with 60. And 2 moves on this one as well. So every card I've looked at so far has 2 moves on it. Tail Whip says to flip a coin. If heads, the defending Pokemon can attack. And then Electro Ball, I'm a big fan of this move. 30 damage for only 2 energy cards. So it does do above average damage for the amount of energy cards it requires to attack. So that's definitely my favorite basic card of the 4 total cards I've reviewed so far, total Pokemon. Zapdos is just quite a bit slower. Next up, there is a 2-2 line of Electrike and Manectric. Going good with the HP still is 60. This card is just a little bit limited in what it can do, only having 1 move. But if you're using this card with Manectric, Bite is a very good move, and I would have no problem at all putting this card into the active Pokemon spot to start the game. Okay, and then, like I said, a 2-2 line of Electrike and Manectric. 90 HP on this Stage 1 card. 2 moves on this one as well. Random Spark says this attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then Bite does 40 damage for 2 energy cards. I like this Manectric card quite a bit, and I particularly like Random Spark. 30 damage for only 1 energy card is very good. And if you wanted to, let's say, put this in a spread damage type deck, it would work very well. You could do 30 damage to several of your opponent's bench Pokemon and then use a card in the active Pokemon spot that does 10 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon, and then you could knock out several Pokemon at once. Okay, now we're moving on to some grass type Pokemon. There is a 2-1 line of Shedinja and Nincada and Shedinja. Nincada, low HP for a basic, only 40. It does do 20 damage for only 1 energy card with slight intrusion, but it does do 10 damage to itself when using it. And this card, like I said, only has 40 HP, and doing 10 damage to itself each turn will really make this card get knocked out quite quickly. So you want to evolve Nincada into Shedinja on the bench if you keep this Pokemon line in this deck. So Shedinja here, just 1. Even lower HP on Shedinja with 30, but it has 2 moves. Cursed Rain puts 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon, and then it says to switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. And then Hopeless Scream does 50 damage times the number of damage counters on this Pokemon. So you could do up to 100 damage with Hopeless Scream. I'm a big fan of this card as well. You'll definitely want to, whenever you put it in the active Pokemon spot, not use it for more than a turn, just because you don't want to get it knocked out. But I like both Cursed Rain and Hopeless Scream. Cursed Rain works very well with the Random Spark move on Manectric. Okay, next up here, there is a 2-2 line of Execute and Executor. Another low HP Pokemon, so the Lightning type Pokemon had high HP, and this one has low, the grass one so far. 2 moves on Execute. Low allows you to flip a coin. If heads, switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, and then Ram does 10 damage for 1 energy card. So a limited basic Pokemon again. Another one that I probably use only on the bench and evolve it into Executor there. High HP on Executor, 120 HP. 2 moves, Shake It Off, does 20 damage plus 20 more damage. Actually 20 damage times the number of colorless Pokemon your opponent has in play. And then Seed Bomb is another move that requires 3 energy cards and does above average damage, 80 damage. Usually on average, moves that require 3 energy cards only do 60 damage. So I like Executor quite a bit. These two moves really work nicely together. Only thing you have to watch out for is the high retreat cost, so you could use a switch trainer to retreat this card for free. Okay, now we're on to a Wurmple Cascoon line, and there's a 2-2 line here. Wurmple, better HP for a grass type, 60. 2 moves on this one. Flock allows you to search your deck for Wurmple and put it into your bench, and then Tackle does 20 damage for 2 colorless energy cards. So a pretty solid starter type there, just a little bit slower than I would like. And then Cascoon, 80 HP, so not as high as HP that I'd like, but it does have 2 moves. Poison Sting poisons the defending Pokemon, and then Iron Defense says to flip a coin. If heads, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks during your opponent's next turn. So it's more of a defensive until you can get it Cascoon's stage 2 evolution in play. And Dustox isn't in this deck, unfortunately, but you could always add it to it. Okay, now we're on to just a colorless type card here, Skarmory, just one of these in this deck. 100 HP, which is very good. And the first move is Call for Family. It says search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. And then Blow Through does 30 damage for 2 colorless energy cards, but if there's a Stadium card in play, it does 30 more damage. So you can definitely do major damage, 60 damage total for only 2 energy cards with Skarmory. So I like that card quite a bit, especially if you have some Stadium cards in play. Okay, so next up, there's a full line here of Dratini, Dragonair, and Dragonite, a 3-2-1 line. Here is what Dratini looks like, and as you can see, it requires both energy types that are in this deck, Grass and Lightning. Hook does 10 damage for 1 energy card, and then Slam does 20 damage times the number of heads you get when you flip 2 coins. So this card really is a good starter type. I'd have no problem at all putting this card in the active Pokemon spot to start the game. Only thing later on preventing me from wanting to put this card in the active Pokemon spot is the 50 HP. Wish it would have 60. Next up here is Dragonair. And this card has 80 HP. Also requires both Grass and Lightning type energy to attack. And Shed Skin is the first move. It heals 30 damage. So you could use this card on the bench with Zapdos. You could use Raging Thunder, doing 120 damage per turn, and do all 40 damage to Dragonair. And then you only could do it 1 time, but then you can move this card into the active Pokemon spot, use Shed Skin the first turn, and then after that either evolve it into Dragonite or use Slam, doing 60 damage times the number of heads you get when you flip 2 coins. So it could do 120 damage total. But neither of those 2 moves are that great. I'd probably either want to use Dratini right away in the active Pokemon spot or evolve Dratini into Dragonair into Dragonite on the bench. And this is the only ancient trait card in this deck. You could always add more. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time, Dragonite. Very high HP of 160. 2 moves. The first move is called Wrapped in Wind, and it requires 1 Lightning energy card, and it says to attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your hand to this Pokemon. And the reason that you want to use this move first is because Heavy Impact requires 5 energy cards, but it does do 150 damage total. So a very, very powerful move right there. And you'll either want to set this one up on your bench, like I said, or start off with Dratini, go to Dragonair, and then if you go that route, you'll definitely want to use Wrapped in Wind first. So that's it for the Pokemon, and I'm actually pretty happy with the cards in this deck. I think they work quite well together. There's a little bit of spread damage, and there's quite a few cards that can do above average damage for only 2 energy cards. So it's a solid hitting deck, I would say, and definitely a good deck for beginners. So I would definitely recommend it. And I can compare when I review the Aurora Blast deck next month, which deck from Roaring Skies I think is better. Now we're on to the trainer cards, and I'll be going through each of these and then basically summarizing what I think of these at the end. But first one here is Pokemon Center Lady. There's just one. This is a supporter card, meaning that you only can use one supporter per turn. It heals 60 damage, removes all special conditions from one of your Pokemon. You're definitely going to want to use this on one of your Pokemon that you use Raging Thunder with when you do that 40 damage to your own Pokemon. Next up, Professor's Letters. There's 2 of these. It says to search your deck for up to 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. So let's say you need Heavy Impact. You need to use that move from Dragonite. You need 5 energy cards for that. You need energy cards in your hand using Wrapped in Wind. You could use Professor's Letter first, use Wrapped in Wind to get those energy cards from your hand to Dragonite, and then hopefully use Heavy Impact that second turn. Next up, there is 1 Revive Trainer. And this allows you to put a basic Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. This would be a perfect trainer card to use with Nincada, and then into Shedinja. So you could pull back Nincada if one that gets knocked out before you can use Shedinja with it. Next up, there's a supporter card, Steven. And this one allows you to search your deck for a supporter card and a basic energy card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So just a way to get more energy into your hand. Now here is a Switch Trainer, and there are 2 of these. And like I said, with the Pokemon that have high retreat cost, you can use Switch and retreat a Pokemon for free. It just says switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Now we're on to another supporter card. There are 2 Tyranno cards. Allows you to draw 3 cards, especially if you're trying to find energy cards. Drawing 3 cards from the top of your deck may include an energy card. You just want to be careful you don't use up all the cards in your deck there, otherwise you lose the game. Trainer's Mail is the next trainer card. It says to look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card you find there and put it into your hand. So if you wanted, let's say, a Switch Trainer, you could hope that it's in the top 4 cards, and then you could get that Switch Trainer into your hand and retreat a Pokemon for free. Ultra Ball is the next trainer card, and it says to discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So if you need an evolution, let's say you want to use Dragonite and it's in Dragonair's in the active Pokemon spot, you may want to discard 2 cards from your hand just so you can get Dragonite into the active Pokemon spot right away. Next trainer card here is Wally. It's actually the last trainer card. It's a supporter. It says to search your deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon and put it onto that Pokemon. So in the last example, I was saying that you could go into your deck and find Dragonite. Well, this card takes it one step further. It allows you to go into your deck, find Dragonite, and put it right onto Dragonair immediately. Okay, now we're on to the energy cards. There is 1 special energy card called Double Dragon Energy, and it says this card can only be attached to Dragon-type Pokemon, so the Dratini, Dragonair, Dragonite line. It says this card provides every type of energy, but provides only 2 energy at a time. And this would be perfect for Heavy Impact because it requires 5 energy cards. You could use this as 2 of them, and they would only require 4 instead of 5. You may want to add a couple more of those. You can add up to 4 special energy cards. So that's really it for the special energy / trainers. A wide variety here compared to other theme decks where there's, you know, 2, let's say, trainers. This one has 1. So several individual trainers and supporters in this deck. I would recommend just going out and playing with this deck. See what trainers and supporters you really use, and then try and get a play set of that specific trainer or supporter card to add to this deck. Okay, so the energy cards, there are 16 total outside of the Double Dragon. There are 8 each of Lightning and Grass. So there's all the cards inside this deck, Storm Rider. I'm actually thinking this is a very solid deck. If I was to give a grading to this, or a rate to it, I would say it's a 4 out of 5 if you look similar to what's on my blog. So I definitely recommend this as a beginner deck. If you're looking for either a grass or a lightning type deck as well, you can just pick this up and just substitute some cards in and take some of the cards that are already in this deck out. So I hope you enjoyed me reviewing this deck. If you have any other questions or comments related to this deck, feel free to comment on this video or send me a private message on YouTube. But now for the giveaway, all you have to do to be eligible to win this theme deck is you have to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and then in the comment section of this video, just say that you'd like to win this theme deck. So, good luck to everyone. Complete rules to entry are in the description of this video, so you can make sure and read that just to make sure you've entered correctly. At the end of this month, I will be sending a message to the winner. And so make sure to check your YouTube inbox on the last day in May. So good luck to everyone. Remember, only 1 entry per person. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, before you go, check out all the links in the description of this video. And stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.